It is interesting to see just how consistent Riot can get with their champions regardless of where they appear. Sure, sometimes we do have inconsistencies. Sometimes they are big, but for the most part, lately Riot got it ironed out. And now, every time a champion appears somewhere outside of just League of Legends, it is interesting to see how Riot decides to evolve them. With 2xKO kinda leading the charge. Because after we get a roster with pretty safe and expected champions, when Blitzcrank was revealed, that trailer actually kickstarted some hype. Because Blitzcrank was the oldest champion in League of Legends who still got his original model from the beta. So when 2xKO came out and it just updated the canonical Blitzcrank, it was showered with love. Which is something you can't say about this new reveal. Because after Blitzcrank, the already data-mined Teemo was revealed. And even though the Blitzcrank reveal went wild, on YouTube it landed on about 300,000 views. Well, Teemo was revealed 20 hours ago, and it is nearing 500,000. So let's talk about why this reveal is so good. But before that, we do need a little bit of context. You see, for me, 2xKO is the first competitive fighting game I've ever played. I only ever played Soul Calibur against my brother, as well as Smash, which is where I enjoyed doing all the challenges against the hardest AI because I didn't have real friends to play against. So 2xKO is the first game where I got to test my online skills. And well, I think the ranking system is broken. Sure, I am using the pool's auto combo thingy because I am too dumb to figure out my own combos. But I know how to block and I know how to punish, and apparently that will get you far. So yeah, possibly because of a broken ranking system, or the fact that during beta the player pool is lower, I somehow got Diamond in the first fighting game I've played online. And the reason why I am telling you about this is because this means I had to learn the mechanics of 2xKO. And because I now know the mechanics of this game, I can tell you just how evil this trailer is. And so, let's go through it. First of all, when Darius drops in, we can see something cool. A new Bandle City map. Now here, if you have a look at the background, you can see the entire squad revealed in Legends of Runeterra. So if you've played that game, you will recognize a lot of Easter eggs. On top of this, you can see that the squad is preparing for a mission on the Noxian battlefield. Because if you have a look inside the portal, you can see it leads to the Noxian front. And of course, as Darius drops in, he is met with a bush. Because yes, if you thought that Teemo was annoying in League of Legends, this is a foreshadowing that 2xKO is much worse. So let's have a look at all the references in his kit. Of course, Teemo's first ability that is shown here are his darts. A lot of them. In fact, this already looks worse than Jinx. To add in more projectiles, he also has a slingshot, and he can plant down his own bushes. Thank God he can't do that in League. But here, the bushes are really cool and really annoying. Though they only properly work if you manage to lure the enemy inside them, so just don't walk in. Because apparently, Teemo has the ability to be a proper Yordle and hop into a portal. Or in this case, he is digging through the ground for some reason. And he pops up where the bush was planted. Imagine that in League. What's worse, he can turn into Sonic. I did not expect that. On top of this, just like how he does it in League, he can also put down puff caps. And just like they work for someone like Echo, those puff caps are physical and he can bounce them around. Now, a little bit of puff cap lore, I guess. In case you are not sure why Teemo has this ability. You see, outside of the fact that puff caps can be used for recreational purposes, they are also a dying species of mushrooms. So in order to collect a very special Bandle Scout badge, Teemo is on a mission to bring back the puffcap mushroom population. And so as he walks around the world, he also spreads the mushrooms around, not knowing that they also function like landmines. So for the most part, Teemo is just a misunderstood good guy. Anyway, behold as he uses a shovel to knock up his enemies and dig up their graves. So next up on his list of tools, Teemo also has a parachute, which slows down his fall. Thank you, Riot, for the glorious editing. And that is where we get another glorious mechanic. It seems like Teemo can swap between badges, because after he plants down a bush and the puff cap, he swaps from the poison badge to a fire badge, which allows him to burn the bush and his enemies. This also sets the projectiles ablaze and they can now bounce around, which is followed by another piece of Riot's magnificent editing. And here you can see how he swaps back to the poison badge, but not before he starts a new fire of his own in the middle of the combo. After which we can see one of his supers, which is an avalanche of darts. And what's really cool is that it seems like you can control Teemo's movements in the middle of it. Now after this, I am pretty sure there is no way this is a normal ability. This has to be the other super. But by using his shovel, Teemo can also summon an army of mushrooms. What the trailer is trying to show you though is that these mushrooms cannot be destroyed. The only way to deal with them seems to be to block. Which is of course how Teemo can punish you. Then during the next combo you can see that Teemo has a lot more other tools, such as a frying pan with an egg, or an axe with a whole log. I mean, welcome back villager. Also he does have his own horn just to be annoying. And in case he catches you with a net. Just like a villager. What is also cool is that Teemo's mushrooms change color depending on the skin, and he can also drop mushrooms using the parachute. After which Riot really wanted to show off the egg in a pan. To be fair, that animation is quite cool, which is where we get to perhaps the most evil combo we've seen yet. And thank God I understand the game mechanics to appreciate just how bad it is. So first of all, the entire combo is quite flashy. It has a lot of poisons and setups, but then we get to this part where he plants down a bush and this happens.
Ma'am, it's against the code to keep giant sea monsters as...
This is wild! Nobody blocks into XKO. But yes, jokes aside, that's evil. So when Teemo leaves a bush, he actually becomes invisible. Like he does in League, so he can go behind you and force you into blocking the other way. That's what Illaoi is doing here. The assist from the Blitz came from the left side, and Teemo used that to sneak in to the right. Man, this is gonna be really annoying when done well, which is where we get to his ultimate. Here Teemo is just very excited to plant a lot of puff caps to save them. And the enemy just happens to be in the way. Now, while that is it for the trailer, at the very end they also showed one of the fights where it seems to be streamed in one of the lobbies. Now sure, this could be just part of the fancy editing they are going for, but what if Riot is teasing the fact that in the future they can do live reveals in the lobbies and stuff like that? That would be really cool, but there is also one other thing to mention. Teemo is currently planned to be released in the open beta. That's right, the open beta should be up on, I believe, the 9th of October, with the closed beta going down on the 3rd, so there will be a week of nothing. But after that, everyone will have a chance to hop in. And to celebrate the occasion, Teemo also got his own 2xKO art, where a lot more other cool stuff was revealed. Because here you can see all of his tools. There is the fire for the knock-up, there is the egg that was shoved into our face, there is the eggs used for the heavies, I guess. He is eating a puff cap while he should be saving it. You can see there is the log, the dart, the parachute and the horn. There is also the slingshot and the telescope. But then there are two really cool items. The shovel seems to have the sigil of Camavor on it, meaning that Teemo likely got it from some of the explorers of the Shadow Isles, which is where some Camavor pieces could be found. Or possibly Teemo just got it from Camavor. I mean, it's Yordles with their portals, so why not? But regardless, that shovel seems to be quite valuable. Also, no, it is not a reference to Yorick, he has a different shovel. But lastly, that backpack is the same backpack we've seen in the original Yordle cinematic. Now, why is that important? Well, it is related to something else that Teemo said in this trailer.
Ma'am, it's against the code to keep giant sea monsters as pets.
You see, he told Illaoi that it is against the code to keep sea monsters as pets. While Teemo was doing the exact same thing.
Vandal Scout mission badge number 389. Adopt a pet. Cute, huh? It's a school-devouring seaworm!
The joke is that it seems like Teemo almost has a dementia, because he has no idea what kind of a pet he adopted, let alone knowing that puff caps are natural nukes. And so, that's the new Teemo reveal. To be fair, it is really cool to see how well 2XKO is now doing with the roster. I mean, they confirmed that they want to release 5 champions per year. That is almost a new champion every other month. Which is quite the tempo, considering that up until now, the most critique 2XKO had was the champion roster. Partially it was the safe picks, but also it was 10 champions on launch. Well, now that's gonna very quickly change. And so, after getting Blitzcrank and Teemo, hopefully next we're gonna continue the streak of not going for safe champions. As in, Cho'Gath is totally getting an update, right?